All right, everybody. I was asked to watch this video and cover it. And I must say, the title and thumbnail have certainly caught my eye. It's a Matt Walsh video. Came out recently. It's called Obama's Pretentious Gay Fantasies Confirmed. Obama's Androgynous Mind? In the thumbnail. Now, apparently Matt Walsh's channel has actually taken, viewer-wise, a little bit of a dump. It's not dead by any means, but he's not pulling the millions of views in a matter of days that he originally was before. Oh, here he is doing the Oliver Anthony simping. So for those that don't know, Oliver Anthony is this up-and-coming country singer, if that's how you want to see his career. When in reality, basically, he made this, like, pseudo-populist country song about how he's a hard-working, working-class man, and all these welfare queens and poor people are the ones that are at fault for all of the average working Americans' problems. It's like the ultimate, like, Trump supporter, like, good old boy kind of song, you know? And it blew the fuck up because he's very obviously being astroturfed by the right. The Daily Wire is one of the outlets that does the most astroturfing, so the fact that he did a whole video called Debunking the Oliver Anthony Conspiracy Theories tells me that the Daily Wire is probably the one doing the astroturfing, if not at least, affiliated with the organization doing the astroturfing. And if you guys think I'm lying, you can literally look at Abigail Shapiro, by the way. It was racist. Yeah, I'm, like, many people have also pointed out that Richmond was the Confederate capital of the South, and so you would assume, like, if we're talking South-North, slavery times, Richmond north of Richmond would be referencing, like, the Union, right? It would be referencing the bourgeois, liberal, anti-slavery Northerners as the Lost Cause pushers try to make it seem. When in reality, those that were pushing for slavery were in fact a very small percentage, believe it or not, of Southerners who were very wealthy, who had managed to wrangle a bunch of poor, farm-working white Southerners into fighting for slavery because they were racist. They were able to say, fight for our right to keep on making shit tons of money off of slavery. Because you're so racist, you will fight and die a brutal, bloody civil war to keep black people enslaved. That was basically how it was. Anyway, all that aside, Matt Walsh is quite embarrassing. He's fallen off massively. He's also recently been exposed for by multiple people who were in his What Is a Woman documentary that really got him on the map as having lied to them under extremely false pretenses, everybody that he talked to and interviewed for that show. When he did that movie, he contacted everybody under the guise of being a pro-trans documentary talking about the struggles and trials that trans people living in America have to go through. That is how he contacted the people, and he contacted them using a woman secretary that would speak to them over the phone and email them under like a different name, and would not allow the knowledge that Matt Walsh or Daily Wire, any right-wing anti-trans thing, was affiliated with the documentary. And so there's like a lawsuit going through against Matt Walsh and Daily Wire for that, because they lied to and falsely edited that document. They lied to the people who were in the documentary and then edited it to their desires to push whatever message they wanted. So, like, they're getting sued. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, let's hear about Matt Walsh's discussion of Obama's pretentious gay fantasies being confirmed. I really can't, like... Are we really in 2023, as a conservative, mad about Obama? Like, what audience are you making this for?
All right, it's from the New York Post. Former President Barack Obama wrote of his own androgynous mind and making love to men daily, but in the imagination, according to the redacted portion of a now notorious 1982 letter obtained by the Post.
Okay, so I have two things to say. My first thing to say is the New York Post is While not a source that is known for just outright making things up all that often, is not looked upon very respectfully due to their not so accurate reporting. Not necessarily inaccurate. For example, let me give you an idea of the type of stories that the New York Post publishes. Notoriously, when like OnlyFans was really getting big, and you saw that like a lot of women during the pandemic were, you know, making OnlyFans accounts to just kind of make a little extra pocket change to make ends meet. The New York Post made a habit of doxing any anonymous sex worker on OnlyFans they could, if they had a job that they deemed was like, yes, people won't like this person's a teacher or a paramedic or a firefighter, but also does OnlyFans on the side. And so New York Post basically just did a campaign of getting like literally dozens of OnlyFans girls fired from their day jobs because they worked as paramedics or doctors or nurses or firefighters or whatever it may be, or teachers. But like secretly, like, you know, undercover, they were doing OnlyFans to make ends meet during the pandemic. So that's the kind of like site New York Post is, for your reference. Yeah, they run like slut shaming campaigns on OnlyFans girls who have like day jobs. Yeah, like it's very much a tabloid news site, but they don't necessarily, they're not Breitbart tier, and they're just straight up manufacturing of stories, right? So this very well could be true. So the second thing I have to say about it is, who cares if Obama is like in the closet gay or whatever? Like, is that the right wing's grand treatise against Obama? Is it turns out he's also gay and thus that makes him evil or something? Okay. You got him. The majority of Americans really find that messaging to resonate with them, Matt Walsh. You've really pulled them over on the left is bad because Obama gay.
So we talked last week about this letter where Biden, or rather Obama, mentioned his homosexual fantasies. But at that point, that part of the letter had been redacted, so we didn't know what it actually said. And now we know what's in the actual letter. The more than 40-year-old letter to an ex-girlfriend recently resurfaced after Obama biographer David Garrow gave a long and winding interview on the one-time commander-in-chief. In regard to homosexuality, quote, this is a quote now, in regard to homosexuality, I must say that I believe this is an attempt to remove oneself from the present, a refusal perhaps to perpetuate the endless farce of earthly life. You see, I make love to men daily, but in the imagination. This is what Obama wrote to Alex McNear in November of 1982.
Yeah, that's pretty undisputably gay. Like, yeah, like that's that's about as gay of a quote as it gets. Matt is projecting hard. Okay, to be clear, Matt Walsh is a degenerate, okay? I've covered it multiple times before, but like, when you dig around into Matt Walsh's history in radio, you find some of the most bizarre shit, okay? He used to host naked grown man diaper fights. In person, regularly. He would host grown man diaper fights where his buddies, grown men, would get into diapers and wrestle. One of the guys in said video, of course, which leaked onto the internet, had a swastika tattoo on his back. A big old swastika tattoo on his back shoulder blade. This is like his buddy crew back during the radio days. Should I show this? I did a whole segment about it recently, but I guess a lot of you guys in chat, based on your reactions, don't know. Matt Walsh diaper fights. And the fact that he used to host these grown man diaper fights with his buddies, it kind of lends a little bit of weirdness, like additional weirdness, to the fact that he sells the Sweet Baby Gang plushies. You know, like, I feel like there's something so much more sinister about this when you know about his radio host past of hosting grown men naked diaper wrestling fights. Look how happy he is. He's like, it's like presenting a macaroni art. Like a little kid presenting macaroni art to his parents. He's like, look what I made. Knowing the lore on Matt Walsh, you need to know anything he says about Obama having some kind of like weird, latent, like closeted gay fantasies or whatever. Matt Walsh is a living projector. Everything he says about Obama in this video will be him describing himself. I need you all to understand this, that there is not a hint of doubt or a single possibility in which that is not the case. I hope we get to see the gay Nazi fight. You got to see a bit of it.
My mind is androgynous to a great extent, and I hope to make it more so until I can think in terms of people, not women, as opposed to men. But in returning to the body, I see that I have been made a man, and physically in life, I choose to accept that contingency. McNear, who dated Obama during his years at Occidental College in Los Angeles, later redacted these salacious paragraphs, which the Pulitzer Prize-winning historian Garrow hunted down and included in his book Rising Star. The letter is currently owned by Emory University, which doesn't permit it to be photographed or removed. Instead, Garrow's friend Harvey Clare transcribed the paragraphs by hand and sent them to the author. Okay, so I think there are maybe two takeaways here. There are no surprises. Nothing is surprising about this at all. But there are two takeaways. And the first, before we get to the homosexuality stuff, the first is that Obama has been a pompous tool his entire life. Again, not a surprise, but that's a takeaway. My mind...
Okay, that coming from Matt Walsh, whose entire branding is meant to be smugly saying wrong shit about minority groups as he advocates for, like, genocide and the taking away of rights from, like, groups of people, smugly in a way that is, like, meant to trigger lefties and make conservatives feel like they're high and mighty with moral superiority. This guy calling Obama pompous. To be fair, though, he isn't wrong. Obama has always been like kind of a... Who remembers that like excerpt that leaked or like came out from his biography where it was like, all these women in college that rejected me, that one e-girl who would play World of Warcraft or whatever. Like, I cannot believe the words have come from Obama's brain, that one alt girl who would play Warcraft. I own the book. A pillow, I need you to find that page and drop that link right now. It made me hate Obama. That's so great. That's so good. Cherish that book forever. He's always been up his own ass. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind about that. Like, I liked Obama, and I still do kind of like Obama as far as presidents go. Like, he was one of the better ones, without a doubt, you know? I would say Biden's better, though. You could kind of tell nobody is as cool as Obama makes himself look to the public. Like, Obama really, really leaned into being the cool dad president. And when you're a kid, that really works on you. I feel like Obama was really popular with Zoomers and just young kids especially, right? Because he leaned into that, like, cool dad, cool uncle kind of president role. But, like, it was definitely a character. Especially when he, like, okay, there was that one, this was the, granted, it's not uncommon for the president to tell some jokes on stage at this event. Like, it's not uncommon at all for there to be some, like, political humor coming from the president on stage. This was funny as to be fair. No copyright, Reno. Yeah, C-SPAN's fine. This is him leaning into a character.
I want to close on a more serious note. You know, I often joke about tensions between me and the press, but honestly, what they say doesn't bother me. I understand we've got an adversarial system. I'm a mellow sort of guy. And that's why I invited Luther, my anger translator, to join me here tonight.
This was masterfully done, though.
Your lily white butts.
I will say, Obama has skill at keeping his cool, because the joke fails if Obama cracks and starts laughing or chuckling. and you can see him just barely a bit of a twinge of a smile because he's seeing the crowd laughing and he's trying not to smile and laugh with them because it's just kind of contagious when that happens. And as like, you know, it's hard not to laugh at your own joke when the crowd starts laughing. So you can see him trying to fight it and keep a neutral face because you have to keep the neutral face for the joke. You'll see.
In our fast-changing world, traditions like the White House Correspondents' Dinner are important.
I mean, really? What is this dinner? And why am I required to come to it? Jeb Bush, do you really want to do this?
Because despite our differences, we count on the press to shed light on the most important issues of the day.
And we can count on Fox News to terrify old white people with some nonsense. Sharia law is coming to Cleveland. Run for the...
You can see the Republicans in the room, dog. It's so good. You can see which people in the audience are Republicans and which are Democrats. Oh, it's so good. Oh, that's so good. Democrat, 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 Republican, Democrat, Republican, can't tell, Democrat. You can just tell. I guarantee I had 100% Democrat. Guarantee I had a 100% success rate there.
It's coming to Cleveland. Run for the damn hills. Y'all's ridiculous.
We won't always see eye to
Feinstein
eye.
in the back.
Oh,
Yeah.
and CNN, thank you so much for the wall-to-wall Ebola coverage. For 2 whole weeks, we were one step away from the Walking Dead. And then
Oh, that aged poorly with...
on to the next day.
That aged poorly with COVID, because one of the most common talking points when COVID was like, even lefties didn't believe COVID was a thing when it first started. Everybody, except for the mainstream media and doctors in the CDC, thought that COVID was a big deal when it first started. And everyone was just like, oh, this is going to be the next Ebola, this is going to be the next swine flu, this is going to be the next bird flu. Granted, all these things were a big deal where they, like, to the people that they affected, but, you know, most people, it wasn't COVID level, right? And so then COVID happened, and it was what everybody thought those previous pandemics were going to be, and they used this logic, the whole, the media is just sensationalizing, and then they'll move on to the next thing logic, to sort of claim it's not a big deal really early on, when cases were just starting in America. Anyway, yeah. I don't know. I do think that Obama's whole cool uncle, cool president character definitely does contribute to the fact that, you know, he's probably, like, interpersonally kind of probably a little bit of a douche. Yeah, probably. Probably. Does it have to do with him being gay or him being gay making him bad, as Matt Walsh is about to argue? No, but yeah.
Mind is androgynous, for I yearn to be released from the confines of this binary serfdom of constructed realities. Like, this is Amanda Gorman tier.
I just realized Matt Walsh has an earpiece in on his pre-recorded show that is edited and produced by a team of editors. He has an earpiece in to be fed lines. That is the level of astroturfed, funded, and manufactured right-wing media is on YouTube. They have earpieces in, feeding them lines. He's just that boring? Yeah, he literally has an earpiece in. You see it, right? I'm pretty sure he's not hard of hearing. I know what hearing aids look like. That's an earpiece. Like, I feel as though most of right-wing argumentation doesn't even need to be engaged with, as long as you're willing to point out how bought and paid for all of this propaganda is. The fact that there is absolutely no f***ing money in the left. Unless you're thinking of the left as being like the Democrats or like the establishment Democratic Party. They've got money, I'm sure. But like, if we're talking the actual left, like leftists, the type of left that people like Matt Walsh hate, that people on the right despise and speak derogatorily of, quite consistently in their media and their humor and in their rhetoric, then those are people who are very much not making money off of advocating for their beliefs. Why is there so much money to be made off of advocating for what the right is pushing and not for the left? Does truth equal money? Does that sound right? Does it sound right that there'd be a lot of money in just spreading the truth? Or do you think maybe there'd be more money in peddling lies and scamming a large audience of gullible fools? Which apparatus do you think is more likely to make more money? And which group do you think is, based on which one has the most money, do you think is the one that's doing the duping? Like, it's hard. Oil. Yeah, a lot of, like, big oil billionaires are the ones that fund this shit, but it goes even further than that. The think tanks are the big ones, right? The big conservative organizations that are, like, made up of Harvard lawyers, like right-wing Harvard lawyers that like work to find people who've had large, high-profile cases where they can sue someone, and it's like a cultural win for the right, and they represent, like, a team of Harvard lawyers that are right-wing, represent, like, one guy who wants to sue, like, a cake shop that, like, makes gay cakes or something, like, whatever it may be, right? Like, they will represent, right? A good example of this is the Alliance Defending Freedom. They always have, like, a very ham-fisted name. This group has a big YouTube channel. Alliance Defending Freedom. Founded by some 30 leaders of the Christian right, the Alliance Defending Freedom is a legal advocacy and training group that has supported the recriminalization of sexual acts between consenting LGBTQ adults in the U.S. and criminalization abroad, has defended state-sanctioned sterilization of trans people abroad, has contended that LGBTQ people are more likely to engage in pedophilia. That used to be like a spicy opinion for right-wingers to have back in the day, but now it's like the line that every right-wing organization toes. And claims that a homosexual agenda will destroy Christianity and society. Once again, the current line every right-winger toes. ADF also works to develop religious liberty legislation and case law that will allow the denial of goods and services to LGBTQ people on the basis of religion. Since the election of President Trump, ADF has become one of the most influential groups informing the administration's attack on LGBTQ rights. So these are like massive multi-billion-dollar think tanks of huge lawyers whose entire job is find high-profile cases in which they can sue people with their like insanely massive, well-put-together team in order to win cultural points for the right by winning lawsuits. This is the money that backs Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire. That's the kind of money we're talking about here.
Faux profundity is what it is. Like, this dude actually wrote the phrase, unironically, quote, perpetuate the endless farce of earthly life.
The sad thing about conservative content as well is that I've met a lot of conservatives that are, like, not super into the political debate sphere, right? Like, they don't get involved with debate about politics. They just have their beliefs and they only consume content around it, and their standards for what content they'll consume would make you sick to your stomach. As long as it is a guy with a relatively clear mic repeating beliefs they already hold, they'll listen to it. There doesn't need to be any charisma. There doesn't need to be any vocal inflections that help to keep people engaged. There doesn't need to be any personality brought to the table. It can be the most corporately backed, bought and paid for shit you can imagine, as the most disingenuous content and advocacy you can imagine. And they will still listen to it hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on end because they like to listen to it as background noise. But they're still listening to it, though. They're still actively consuming the misinformation being peddled. Painfully true. It really is. It's NPC behavior, absolutely. And they fill their brain with anecdotal stories that back up their preconceived worldviews, so that whenever, you know, they come to a situation where they need to reevaluate their views, instead of thinking of studies or science or thinking about what experts are saying on the issue, they instead think to all of these little anecdotal stories they heard on podcasts and on, you know, political debate shows and on Fox News, and they use those anecdotal stories that, you know, are very emotionally driven. You know, conservatives have scientifically been proven to be more emotional than even liberals. This emotionally driven mindset leads them to just want nothing but revalidation of their currently held beliefs. So this is just going to be like Matt Walsh just going gay bad, I guess. Oh, it's going to be so boring. Let's speed up the video. Matt Walsh is very boring and uncharismatic. I have a hard time sitting through his content these days. He's gotten
Actually
very
wrote that phrase.
Stale.
And ironically, in a certain way, it's like this is a certain way that the straightest.
You can hear him stuttering because he's listening through the earpiece. He's listening to the lines being fed to him by his team. Like you could tell there's in another room, he's got a team of people that are all watching live as this recording is happening and feeding him the line that he needs to say next. So he's stuttering to fill up time because you can see he's turning down, like he's got an earpiece in. What else is it for? Yeah.
Thing he's ever done also, because it's like a desperate attempt to impress this girl. This is how desperate he is that he's writing stuff like this. This will impress her. Now she really think I'm smart. But the straightest thing is also extremely gay, because we also know that he confessed to his gay fantasies. I just hope that the girl wrote him back and was like, "Dear Barry, you are at least 70 IQ points dumber than you think you are." But I think nobody ever told him that in his entire life, which explains everything that happened after. If you want some positive news in the culture war, well, since
okay, so it just immediately goes to shilling. Does it get back to the show? I forgot that, like, any video that you see of Matt Walsh's, regardless of how long it is, a good portion of it will always be him shilling for his own stuff.
Then
like
again, we get to the second big takeaway, which is the gay fantasy. And this is, now it's confirmed. You know, it's confirmed at the very least that this guy was having homosexual fantasies in his early 20s.
Dude, this is the conservative, like, lifestyle, is being obsessed with whether or not someone is gay. Like, these are the people who complain about gay people throwing it in their faces all the time, and, like, they'd be fine with gay people if they were just doing it, like, well, Matt Walsh has said he's not okay with gay people doing it consensually on their own in the privacy of their own home. Matt Walsh has outright advocated for the outright criminalization of all forms of homosexuality, but, you know, your average, like, more moderate conservative who's not a self-admitted fascist would be like, I just don't like the gays throwing it in my face all the time. But then they're also the same people constantly obsessing and theorizing and conspiracy theorizing about whether or not insert person is gay. Like, the jokes and not so much jokes about Michelle Obama being a man and Obama being secretly gay or whatever literally go back to when I was in middle school. Like, homophobes have been obsessed with the sexuality and the placement of the penis of any lefty they don't like for years. It's almost like they're the ones obsessed with sexuality and not the gay people.
If you want to theorize that, well, it doesn't mean you ever acted on them. Or...
Like, Gay Pride Month only exists because for so long, people like Matt Walsh insisted or enforced shame upon people for being gay. That's why a Pride Month exists, as like a celebration of the fact that things aren't as bad as they used to be. They're still pretty bad, but not as bad as they used to be. And sort of a reaffirmation of the goal of continuing forward and achieving equality and equal representation and whatnot. But, like, outside, like, barring the actions of people like Matt Walsh and other obsessive homophobes, there wouldn't really be all that much gay in your face in our culture. It would just kind of be like any other thing. It would be as in your face as heterosexuality is, which isn't really all that in your face. You just see a straight couple and you don't think about it. It would be the same thing if it had never been so stigmatized and politicized. You would just see a gay couple and that would just be a thing. Like, you just see a straight couple. You don't think about them being a straight couple. You just see a couple. You would see a gay couple and you just think that's a couple. Because at no point in human history, if people like this never existed, would that have been so heavily politicized and made to be like a weird, confusing thing, right?
It was actually that he ever was an active homosexual. You know, that's one theory. I don't find it terribly plausible. But this is another one of those things that, I mean, for years and years, you had many people on the right talking about this, you know, let's say predicting this about Obama.
Like, wait, here he is. He's just outright saying, like, so you've got many people on the right who for many years have been saying Obama is gay, and now we finally have this journal come out, or this letter come out, where he says that he's got gay fantasies. See, we're proven right the whole time. As if that doesn't... As if that erases the reality that they are extremely weird for having obsessed over Obama's sexuality this whole time. Does he mean the right calling Michelle trans? Well, no. They wouldn't call her trans. They would call her a man. Like as far back as I can remember, the insults towards Michelle Obama were not that she was a trans woman, or not that she was a masculine or man-looking woman, but that she was a man, quote-unquote, period. That has always been the joke/conspiracy that the right believes in, is that, like, Michelle Obama is secretly a man, and Obama is gay and is secretly in a, like, a gay relationship. Yeah, right-wingers call Michelle Obama Big Mike. Have you guys not seen that? Like, conservatives refer to Michelle Obama as Big Mike. Yeah, it's not a secret thing. They're very open about it.
And we were told it's just rumors, it's nothing, it's ridiculous, conspiracy theory, conspiracy mongering.
Yes.
And even though it's not a conspiracy at all, well, in a certain way it is. So, like, there's actual conspiracy here to cover.
He's stumbling over his rhetoric, because what he's trying to say is, well, it is a conspiracy because there's a conspiracy to cover up, you know, that Obama is gay, but it's not a conspiracy theory and that you shouldn't believe it and it's ridiculous. But the fact that he's peddling nonsense means he can't even get his words straight. He's stumbling over himself. And he's also being fed lines. It's nice to know that, like, the signature long, drawn-out pauses and stutters that Matt Walsh would do are all because he's got someone in his ear literally feeding him the next line. He's so unoriginal and so incapable of even making up the lies on the spot that he's got an earpiece in. That is crazy to me. That these figures are so untalented at lying that they have to be fed lines through such a well-funded and well-paid architecture of propaganda and messaging. Like, they can't do it on their own. Like, I feel like, as a lefty who has to do my own research to, like, back up all of the things that I claim, I feel like if you put me in the place of Matt Walsh, I could just start making up the bullshit right-wingers believe off the spot. No need for a script or lines or a earpiece. I could just start saying, yeah, so, as you all know, Obama is gay, and, you know, to be fair, I think this probably influenced a lot of his policies. You know, the Obamacare, the idea that we should care about poor people, that is pretty gay. So, you know, that should have been the first clue right off the spot. I would just go on with shit like that, and right-wingers would just eat it up. Matt Walsh is so untalented. Figures in this sphere are so untalented. They can't even make that insane shit that their audience believes up off the spot. Bro, Xanderhal, you could totally grift off of ad-libbing right-wing shit. I totally could. It's not, well, no, anybody could. It's not hard. What right-wingers believe is beyond parody. Just think of the most insane, ridiculous thing a conservative could believe, say it as if you believe it, and right-wingers will be like, yeah, what a great advocate for our ideas. They're literally mind-numbed NPCs.
Up this. This was written, this is documented, his homosexual fantasies were documented, and then they were redacted by this university. So there is an actual conspiracy of cover-up here. And for so long, it was dismissed as nothing more than conspiracy theory. So really, we have to chalk this up.
Wait, is he not even going to make an argument about why Obama being gay is bad? It's just like, we were right, Obama is gay. That's the whole video.
Yet another quote-unquote conspiracy theory that has been confirmed.
Yet another.
As they almost always are. And this is another one. Hey, YouTube.
Remember, guys, YouTube still allowing this content up on the platform. 104,000 views in 5 days. Still much worse than he has been doing. He recently got demonetized, apparently, as well. But YouTube is taking, like, the least severe action against him they possibly can, despite him, like... YouTube actively has policy against spreading misinformation and conspiracy theories. And yet the guy's like, every conspiracy theory just keeps getting proven true at the end of his videos. And YouTube's just like, we're all good with this.